Well, it wasn't perfect, but the Indiana Fever did finish the WNBA preseason undefeated. Not that record matters in the preseason or the exhibition, but when you're testing things out, trying things out, you're without Caitlin Clark for a game and you still wind up ahead on the scoreboard by the end of the contest. It's not a bad thing. And really, when I watch the Fever, even when they're not at their best, one thing I can't help but think is that they're just going to run teams off the floor and destroy them with their firepower. They just have so many players that can beat you and can score. And Duana Bonner didn't even start this game. Sophie Cunningham started in her place, which was an interesting wrinkle before the game. Cunningham actually stepped on somebody's foot and turned her ankle and had to leave the game. Though Stephanie White said afterwards that Cunningham said she'll be fine. So that's the update from Sophie Cunningham, and it was a run-of-the-mill step on the foot ankle injury. Now, the thing that stood out the most to me was around Caitlin Clark's strength. And Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands, and she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. But with that added mass, I think you could see massive dividends paid for the Fever because you could see it in this game. It's how effortless she's doing some of the stuff she did before. The distance and sauce that's coming on some of the passes, and then how easily she's getting off the three-point looks and shooting them. And from where they're coming from when she does indeed hit them. Just comes off and cash. It's easy money from distance. Right. And that's not the only play. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine, because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a flick of the wrist. A little step back for you right here and cash. And Caitlin also, in addition to how easily it looks like she's shooting those threes and hitting those threes in the clip that she's doing it, going to the rack, all these various things that show she's even stronger than she was a year ago. And you see it in the strong numbers. I mean, 13 points, 6 boards, 7 assists in 23 minutes of action. She did pick up a technical. She did pick up her first. She had told Stephanie White she'd only get 2 technicals this year, but there was a video footage of her after she got the technical, and Sophie Cunningham getting between her and the referee. Caitlin calming down. But that's that competitive nature. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you want to see, of course, within reason. As far as other observations, other players, Lexi Ho really stood out in that game. You can see just what her energy is for the team. When she brings a level of spunk and tenacity, even when she's getting confused with Sophie Cunningham out there. Bree Turner did not start the game well, but played better. So I'm going to give her a shout out as the game went along. She rebounded the ball well, played good defense. Sydney Colson did not play great again. That's now a couple preseason games where she has not looked very good. Both Timpson and Jalen Brown, played in the last player to make the team kind of role. And I'm assuming Timpson is making the team. Don't get me wrong. Especially Stephanie White talked about her in the future tense before the game as what part of the rotation she'll be a part of. But they didn't play big minutes is what I'm saying. And they played in that spot where the end of the rotation or the players who are on the fence of making the team would typically play. Kelsey Mitchell with finger concerns, she shot the ball well. So that was good. Bonner and Howard played limited minutes, but were productive in those minutes. So it wasn't a perfect game from the Fever by any stretch, but nonetheless, they got the dub and some encouraging signs for sure. Now, there was one more of those moments that seemed to happen in every Fever game that are going to get talked about, and that was Aaliyah Boston's exchange after the contest. Ryan Howard was messing around with Caitlin during the game and looked like she was messing around with Aaliyah after the game until Naz Hillman came up. And I don't know exactly what happened here. It looked a little out of pocket at first. I'll say that. But I don't, perhaps they were joking because you see the end of it If they weren't joking, I don't know what precipitated this. I mean, again, I don't make that, these kind of things aren't the end of the world, but regardless, there's something with every Fever game, right? Now, I don't know. That looks bad there. Like, you can't just grab somebody like that and you're Aaliyah. Like, what are you doing? Were you pressing up on me? But it looked like she might have been smiling at the end too. So until I hear somebody actually speak on it, I'm not going to tell you I know what happened there, other than knowing it's going to be a viral moment because the Indiana Fever are involved. And it seems like, every team has a chip on their shoulder when it comes to the Fever. Sometimes it crosses the line from a physicality standpoint. Sometimes it crosses the line from the way that the teams approach the Fever. But all in all, you got to like you got to be encouraged by where the Fever are right now. And they've I've made it clear they're not ducking any smoke, right? We know that. And there was a nice moment with Brittany Griner and Cece where they had a nice little handshake exchange that went on before the game, which was cool. You'd like to see any of that respect from any of the players. And BG didn't play much in this game. One thing from the Atlanta side, Pow Pow played really well out of South Carolina, and Griner shooting those threes is an interesting little wrinkle. That's something she's going to have to add to her game as she goes further along. But there you have it. How do you do today? We are here from a preseason exhibition, shaking hands. All in all, though, I think because Clark was out there and healthy, because the Fever continue to win games, because the Fever continue to perform at a high level, various players, you have to feel good about where they're going as far as the regular season first game approaching a week from today. We're only a week away now. That's the wildest thing. Otherwise, a fairly nondescript preseason game. And for one of the only times I can ever remember, not that much hype and attention around it because it wasn't on TV. The Fever are always on TV, and there wasn't as much media access, I believe, as a result of that as well. But we shall see. Things will only get more intense against the Sky in a week. Hopefully the Fever are fully healthy going into that game. Hopefully Sophie Cunningham is good to go in that game. I know she was seen in a walking boot afterwards, but that's typical. It clearly wasn't a serious injury, but it doesn't mean it's going to be healthy a week from today either. But overall, I think the biggest sign is honestly Caitlin Clark's, the fact that she's going to be even better. And we had this huge drought. She didn't get any foul calls, by the way. So that's one of the drawbacks to Clark arguing with the refs. She's got to, maybe dial that back a little bit to help get on their side at times, because I don't think she had any free throw attempts in this game. But you look at those numbers in the preseason in just 21 minutes per game, 14.5 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3.5 threes made, 70% true shooting percentage. You look at the players around her and look out.